Hi, this is Andy Collin and Chris Pomeroy with Growing Up Aspen, a Joiner's Table podcast with a student we went to school with, Stacey Kalkowski, who had a trip through Hollywood and is now a professor at one of UAE's oldest college universities. What would you say is some stuff that you learned from growing up in Aspen, doing all the stuff that you've done that are things
independence
that you still carry on today?
You know, a lot of independence. You know, we were kids that were kind of like latchkey kids, right? We were out until, you know, anywhere we wanted to be. Our parents didn't worry so much about it. And we would come home at, you know, when dinner or the light when it got dark or something, you know, that was it. And that was fun. You'd be off in adventures, creating like things out in the hills under the sagebrush things, you know, you'd be inventing kind of stories with your friends or whatever, skateboarding.
I imagine you made it over to James E. Moore Park and all that too.
Oh yeah.
Being close to that.
Yeah,
Somewhat anyway.
Yeah, because I was on swim team. I did a lot of sports. My mom believed in getting rid of us, you know, for extracurricular activities. So yeah. I think I was in every single sports thing possible. I took Taekwondo. I was in basketball. I did volleyball. I did swimming. I was good at none of it, but it was good. Yeah.
Were you a cheerleader? Yeah. You and Jackie.
Was, yeah.
That's another thing, you know, I saw you and Jackie as really like a team thing. It always felt like some folks had a couple kids or a couple friends that they really sort of connected with. And it felt like you and Jackie were sort of a team for a while there. Are you
Jackie Parker?
Yeah, and Anna.
Jackie Wong. Are you still a
Jackie Wong.
Oh, Jackie Wong.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Jackie Wong and Anna. Well, we chat every now and then on Facebook, but we've all got our own things going on. Yeah. So, and who else was I close to? Jill Meskin and Julie Hagen. Is that her? I can't pronounce her last name. She did the horses. You know, she has all the horses. Yeah. And Lauren Burley, because we used to ride horses a lot together.
Well, that's another thing. Can you talk about the horse community growing up as a kid and the kids that you were with in there? Because, you know, Valerie Moore did horses and
Elizabeth.
Gail.
Gail, yeah.
Yeah, Gail. And Gail lives in Germany now.
Oh, cool.
Because I chat with her quite often, Gail. And she's there, I think, mostly because of what's in the U.S. right now, but it's very interesting. Yeah, Gail. So I had a horse in high school, and I think, 8th to 9th grade or 7th, 8th, 9th grade or something like this. I don't know. And it was Jill Grunberg.
Oh, yeah, the Grunbergs. I remember them.
Yeah. Gail, Lauren Burley. I'm trying to think who else was in our school that was there. Stacey, no, not Stacey George. I was trying to think who else might have been there, but I think that was about it for there, because we stayed at Gail, we had our horses at Gail's mom's house, at Valerie's house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So you kind of hung out with Valerie and that group.
We were all in pony club together.
Oh, cool. Cool. In fact,
sport.
I think Valerie teaches the pony club now, or has. Our daughters are in it, and so she's taking over it, I guess.
They still have it? Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that. I love skiing. I took Aspenauts too. You guys take Aspenauts? Yeah.
That's another Aspen tradition, which I don't know if it exists now for kids, because the last thing I heard, passes were like $3,000. You know, I remember even a regular season pass, if you got it before Thanksgiving, was like $100 at the most. You know, and us kids got the thing
or locals,
for like $5. You know,
I was gonna say we got it for $5. Yeah. We got it for $5 for 3 mountains, and then $5 for another for Highlands.
Yeah, it was you know, and I feel like it's amazing because it's so changed. It's like the ecosystem is not even close to what it used to be. It's a totally different world.
Honestly, that's why I don't go back, really. I did, this is probably why I'm not so nostalgic. It's actually because of Aspen, I think. I was in the junior college there in Santa Rosa, and I did a summer road trip with a friend of mine named Mike, and we went mountain biking. We took our mountain bikes and and the car and just rode across, to Colorado, and to stop in Moab and do Slick Rock and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we get to Aspen, and it was like so much had changed. And what had changed was like the things that I thought that were really good about it. And what had not changed were the things that kind of sucked about it, So I was like, oh, it's
what were some of the things that you enjoyed? Because it's one of those things that once it's gone, you don't know what you got till it's gone, as Joni Mitchell once said.
Yeah, that small town kind of community feel. I mean, it became very polished in a lot of ways. I said a comment the other day to somebody. It's like the the Colorado Dubai, honestly.
Yeah.
It's it's a lot of gold leafing on nothing to me. Like, you know what I mean?
For me,
like I say sometimes, like, there's certain things, like Dubai is kind of it's kind of like Las Vegas and the Middle East, I would guess, not without the gambling, or maybe with the gambling, I don't know, but it's got that kind of all glitter and
Well, for me, it was when it went from Pomeroy Sports to like Ralph Lauren. It's like one family run joint and the other one is like a corporation, and this is just a fun little outlet here. And the same thing with most of the galleries in Aspen. They're all linked to New York. So you go up and you see a Chuck Close. You don't see, a Herbie Balderson bowl. You know what I mean? It's like...
Well, but back in the 80s, you'd see both. That was what was so cool about it.
Yeah, and you didn't know. You just walk into something.
Yeah.
And it would be, there's a guy here that's a sculptor.
The 80s were the best.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a combination, and it all lived together in a very interesting bubble. And like I think you said, one sort of overtook the other. And the community part, the Ralph Jackson and characters and the crazy people, the Palazzis and it got taken over by Hollywood in a way.
It got gentrified in a way, I know that it was already somewhat gentrified, but it is kind of like that. It's like the old story. I lived in Venice Beach in Los Angeles for a while, and then that became quite gentrified as well. Kind of like artist, creative communities. And I felt like Aspen was that when we were growing up. It was more of that kind of, even though we served, a tourist population in the winter, in the summer, it was quite creative. We had the Aspen Music Festival. We had all these other great things,
Did you do any of those things? Did you volunteer or do any of those things? Like because I did the design conference one year. My mom had done it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, in 8th grade or something,
Oh, I didn't do that, but I worked at my first job was at the Playhouse movie theater.
Oh yeah, okay. I think I got you that job because the switching, Dawn sold it and they were looking for new people, and my brother.
It was you and Trent and Trent.
We hired all those people. It was because it went from a really small thing to then they sold and they wanted to be the chain. And so my brother and I... It
turned into a chain, when we were there.
Yeah, and my brother, they kind of wanted my brother and I to say, is this a good person? Is this a good person? And so we were like, yeah, that's sure, it's great, And so it was a very interesting time for me with working at the theater, because then it was like all my friends were there, Yeah. It was fun hanging out and chatting and doing the popcorn and stuff,
Oh, we had that great manager who was so chill, and he would be give us these after-hour movies that we could go sit down and just party in the theater while we were watching movies, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Was it Tom? Did Tom Markolunas, or was it his brother? That was Tom worked there too, right?
I might have been John Markolunas. I'm not sure.
John, okay. I couldn't remember. It was one of the Markolunas.
But I know Trent. We got Trent working there.
Trent and I worked concessions.
Yeah. I know. I did a lot of I did concessions, but I did the ushering and I did projecting. I did the projector at that time.
You got the cool job. Whatever.
Well, the first movie I projected was Brother from Another Planet. So
nice.
Aspen then,
Yeah. That was cool. Yeah. I also, where else did I got a second job in the summer. I got that job. And then I got a job at that ice cream store, and I can't remember what it's called, across from Wagner Park there, where all the rugby games they do on the mall.
Ice cream store.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You mean on the
Cookie
corner?
Cookie Munchers.
No. Maybe. I
think it was...
Okay, so it's the end of the mall there where you're walking down
where McDonald's was.
The other side.
Kind kind of close to that, but not, yeah.
Aiken County Dry Goods.
Down more, yeah.
Okay.
But it was on that end. Yes, it was on that end. And I worked there for, I don't know, 2 years or something. I can't remember the name of it, but it was good. It was, you know, you could eat as much as you wanted to if you snuck it. And you made your own waffle cones. I had to make waffle cones.
Oh, yeah. The press thing, yeah.
Yeah. And then I worked at Esprit when that came in, that clothing store. I worked there with Jackie. And
I thought you worked at Benetton's.
No, Esprit.
Is that what it was called? Esprit? It's where now it's the Mountaineer is in that building. Thank God Tom's is saved, you know.
I think Esprit was above like the Elks there, wasn't it?
I thought it was
the same building,
Tom's
or
Market.
I can't remember.
I think they remodeled Tom's Market, so totally gutted it and made it into a thing. So you walked up the corner steps into it, and the Elks Club is up above, and there's that restaurant down below, which I think is now Hard Rock Cafe or something. Yeah, it's a bar.
It was the bar because my dad used to take me dancing down there when I was like 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the times.
And the late nights when you'd go to sleep when your parents are like drinking at the what was the Mexican restaurant down Toros?
La Cocina.
Or when your parents, you're not even in high school and your parents are taking you to go see Up and Smoke, you know?
Yeah.
God,
yes. But the Saturday matinees were the best.
Yeah.
You remember as a kid, those were the best because you could get like candy for a quarter, you know. I think the matinee itself was like $2 or $1.50 or something, and that was always good movies. So I think that's where I saw Star Wars.
Yeah, I think I remember that too.
I remember that came out. It was packed all the time. That was that movie was, it just people, because I remember like Will Bennis saw it 7 times. By the time I saw it, because I was like, no, I worked at the theater and I was like, no, it's so trendy. It's so, I'm just going to stay away, you know. And
no, didn't it come out before that, before we worked there at that theater?
I don't know. I think I
thought it came out
in 76 or 77.
Yeah, you weren't working there yet. We were it was like a Saturday matinee, I think.
No,
it was. I remember standing in line for it. Yeah.
I was working there then.
Around the corner.
That was when I started working at the festival. I mean, at the theater, at the Playhouse. Don Swales got me from the community school. I was in the play. And I think he saw that because something broke and I ad-libbed and just sort of went on and then handed it off, and Andy Marlowe took over and I think he saw that I could think on my feet, and I think he was like, hey, that kid's kind of cool. I could use him for usher. So literally I was 12 years old and I was an usher at there. So all my job was to look at the red dot above the exit lines, and if it was there, it usually was Blake and Zach and those guys trying to sneak in. And so I didn't have to work a deal with them where, okay, I'll let you this time, but next time not going to happen, you know?
And you can't really say anything either because those guys were pretty like rough, you know, at the time, you know, they're pushy.
I knew them from baseball, and so the thing I think that helped was I was so small and so short that I competed with them, and I think it kind of, they were like, whoa, because I could actually throw the ball from left field all the way to home plate with straight shot, not a big huge arch, but like right over there. And so I think that I kind of earned a little respect from them, even though I was still so tiny, so I could kind of maneuver around a little bit. But
my arm hurts just thinking about it, Andy. God, we sound so old. I was cracking up a second ago when Stacey, when you were like, candy was a quarter. It just reminds me of the stuff I tell my kids. I'll be like, back in my day, we used to go down to the sock hop.
Yeah.
Buy a hot dog and a shake for a nickel, you know.
So true. Well, isn't that what you did with your Aspen Times money? We would go, my brother and I, we'd buy a boatload of candy over there at the Crossroads Drug or somewhere, you know.
Yeah, Carl.
Remember the Chocolate Soldier?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Wasn't that Chuck Burkholder's dad that had the chocolate
peppermint tree or something? Or there was all.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
Chocolate Soldier was over by Ozzy's Shoes. It was in that weird
I remember
building.
That I would go to Aspen Stereo and buy a Beatles record.
Oh,
and then whatever I had left, I'd spend on candy.
You were enlightened back then. Beatles record. I was listening to Air Supply.
You are the reason. I remember skiing with you and Jackie, and you introduced me to Depeche Mode.
Oh yeah, I love
That was
that
your thing at
show.
the time. I
Yeah.
remember listening to that and I was like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, that was my jam. Yeah. Yeah, because we had a fake IDs and we used to go dancing over, at the clubs.
Yeah.
That
Tippler.
was,
Yeah.
yes.
I
And
remember.
the bouncers, they'd let us in and
I know you guys had it easy. You were girls. We couldn't get in, unless we were class and we were tall.
Why do you think we went there? No, I'm just kidding.
Andy, I think you might have brought it up, but somebody was talking about the cops knew when we were in there, and they were like, they were okay with it because they knew we were safe in there. And it was like,
yeah, that was.
They
old
did that
Aspen.
too for our like senior parties and stuff. Like, we had that what was that one prom there? We had a bonfire on Smuggler, I think. And, I got pulled over on the way home because I had forgot to turn on my lights my lights were on bright and I didn't turn them down when I was passing. He was passing me, pulled me over. And I hadn't drank anything, but he knew all about the party up there, obviously. And they just were waiting down below, just making sure we all got home. Because I had my brother and his friends in the car, Sean Smitty, and who else was in there? Bobby.
Enos, maybe?
No,
Bobby.
different Bobby. He had big glasses at the time. Bobby, I don't know, adorable. But they were like, are you the designated driver? I said yes. They were so quiet in the back. I didn't realize that they had smoked pot at the party for the first time ever, and they were like deathly afraid sitting in the back seat.
You just
the
outed
cops
them.
said, take them home and get them to bed. No, I didn't tell them. Oh, yeah.
They'll be sitting there with their
mother was
grandkids going, I can't believe she said that.
I have a cop story then. If you're talking about the cops, we had, so you were horses and us guys were motorcycles. And so that was one of the things, was the lower dumps, which now is all built over. But we'd skate through town. And there was one area, because, they use gravel in the wintertime for the roads and stuff. So this was sort of in the springtime when it was all melted and everybody's getting excited about getting out and stuff. And so we'd get on our little motorcycles and we'd go through the East End there, or I guess it's the East End, and towards Smuggler near the Balderson's house. And there's this one turn that we take and we just sort of hit the turn. And once you're there, it's like gun it and you're home free onto the lower dumps. So Eric Tabeda hit that gravel and slid, and right at that turn waiting for us was the cop, and he slid right, wedged his bike in underneath the cop car as we all went.
Oh my God.
And the cop pulls the bike out and he's like, guys, slow down, take it easy, we know you're going there, just take it easy and be cool.
That's brutal. Yeah. Lauren Burley and I rolled her Jeep.
Oh, wow.
That was crazy. Yeah, she was looking at horses. We were going to go look for her for a new horse, and we were driving down a gravel road. And I said, girl, you just slow down because it's like we're on gravel. And she put the brake on and it slid sideways, and we ended up hitting the ditch and rolling through a pasture fence. Like we completely rolled over. Luckily, we both had our seatbelts on. I was so glad I wasn't Lauren, because her parents were probably pissed, I was just, I luckily was the friend that was along.
Right. Oh man, those experiences. But those experiences sort of really put a knock in your character a little bit, it feels like.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that Aspen kids are all, I would say, fairly adventurous. I realize that a lot of us at the reunion, we're all in like creative industries, a lot of us. So like Tom Mark Lunas is an architect. I mean, there's like Lauren's an artist, and people that you wouldn't have known that before. I think Dina Bredlinger worked in the film industry for a while, and Ben's out there doing art and now film or animation. I'm not sure what he's doing now, but
it is interesting. I think your class might actually have more art creative people in it than my class even.
We have a lot.
I feel like my class and the 4 years all the way down to Ty Vera's class those were the 4 years were closer than any 4 years I've ever seen, like in high school, from the seniors to the freshmen. Because, before, I mean, there was still hazing and stuff going on, but it wasn't like it wasn't like it used to be, And I felt like when you showed up at a party, it didn't really matter which class you were in. It was like, oh yeah, Stacey, cool, and there was a lot more of that in those 4 years group,
Yeah, that's true.
Thanks for listening. The authors of Growing Up Aspen would like to thank you and would like to also thank the Aspen Times and the Aspen Daily News for giving us materials for our book, Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised, which you can get at twistandturnpress.com and any local bookstore. Thanks.